because if we record it, we can upload it as well. That's easier for people to rewatch it, as I know that not
Yeah.
everybody is is available. Okay, so what we did mainly is like this big long new version. I think how long did we work on it?
Or weeks. A
Months,
really long time.
a
Yeah.
really long time, yeah. And the really long time is because we needed to re-architecture everything related to how we approach modules in terms of versions. So now it's possible to have different versions of a module, which in the end will create more stability, because if you would have changed the code right now, it immediately would also affect your installed module in your server, which is an issue if you want to explore or if you want to upgrade your module. But I will talk about versioning and modules later. But the main thing is that's the reason why it took so long. It has a very big impact on how Takaro works, and and that also stopped us a bit of pushing new features faster. But the good thing is that's over. It had to be done. It was painful, but we did it. Big congrats to Emil and Catalysm for doing that, because now we can really speed up things, right? The good thing also is that we did a lot of bug catching, squashing. Also, thanks to everybody in Discord yeah to log these things. Really helped a lot. And that's also why we managed to release a new version quite quick. Also because of the bug fixes out of versioning, because it's just such a big chunk that we expected to have some issues, but we managed to solve them, and now everything is stable and ready to go further. Now, I will talk about versions later. What I actually want to talk about first, which I'm really excited about, I think Trevor will also be excited about it. That's modules, or let's say a module repository. And the reason this is important is that we saw once we started to work in our support channel, we were not it's hard to manage, it's hard to find modules that have been created, and that's why we've built this repository. And now let me show you what that means, right? No, I don't want to show any code, otherwise everybody's going to run away, but it looks like this. So now we have a place to store community modules, right? Again, what is the difference between built-in and custom or community modules? Built-in is something that Takaro is providing you. It's ready to use. It will work on any server, any game we support. And that's it. But to grow as a company and as a platform, we cannot maintain an endless list of built-in modules. That's why we need things like custom modules. And to have custom modules, we need a place to store them, right? So that's what we have here. Also some explanation on module components. Again, depends on who wants to use these, right? There will be people that will develop modules, people like you, Trevor, Limon. I do it sometimes. But there are also people that just want to download these modules and just see the use case, import it to their game community, and just play with it. And this is the best of both worlds, because now we have a place to really store it instead of in Discord, where it's really stuck and gets hard to know what is the latest version and so on. Now we can actually go to browse modules, and as you can see, we have this big list of already of modules that have been created by the community, and that's not only from Limon. I did the 8-ball module, things like banned items, profanity filter, some custom chat bridge, but also Matt did some nice modules coming from CPM. And also if we look at it, you will see which code is behind it, but also a bit of an explanation. Like this command will give his mini bike, will do a visit, will do 4x4. I don't know how you say it in English. But the good thing is now we can easily download these, import these inside your community and just use it, right? So again, there will be developers, more techie people that will build these modules, but the good thing is now we have a place to store them. And also the cool thing, of course, is that as you can see, the use cases are popping up. I did an 8-ball module. Actually, it was quite easy to create. Also, banned items, where we check if you have any banned items, can help, for example, to identify cheaters. Profanity filter, if you wanna check if people are swearing. But also, MeeBob did a donator module, which I think is really nice. R20 had an amazing voting system to get higher in the ranking. And then Trevor, yeah, you also have some created some nice modules, right? Which we can also, yeah, discuss in a later stage. But the good thing is now we have this place, we can find them, easily download them, and import them in your domain or in your, yeah. And as you can see, how can we import it? Of course, after downloading, we can go to a module builder and import module from file. Also, do note that if you don't see the module builder, you will need to go to settings and enable the developer toggle. So what is the current process to move forward together? We're gonna still use the support channel. Like we did, we gave it a module development tag. Then we can discuss what's the module, is the module working, or how can we fix it, and so on. So I'm monitoring that on a daily basis. And Limon will be the curator of that list. The reason why is, of course, because I need to upload these inside the website. And yeah, of course, no one else can do that. And the thing is also that this process is just the first phase. Later we will make it even better, where there will also be, of course, more flexibility from the side of the creator, right? Because right now everything has to go through me, which of course will in the future change. Now, I do have maybe a question to you, Trevor. How do you look at the module public module place, or whatever you want to call it, in terms of what you want to share? How do you want to approach it? Because now we look from our angle, but I would like to know from creators like you how you would see it.
Uh, I think what you're proposing is a good idea, certainly at this stage of the product, the organization. Um, I'm for myself, everything I do, I have no intention of earning an income from anything I do. I just want to, you
Mm-hmm.
know, it's good for my ego if somebody else wants to use my creations. That
Mm-hmm.
makes me feel good. I also like helping people, so that's why I share my stuff. Um, I was just thinking as you were describing this that it might be useful to have like a process where when I have finished doing all of my bug testing, my
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and I feel it's ready for sharing to other people, that it be submitted for general publication, and then perhaps a more experienced programmer have a look over it and make sure that there's nothing malicious in there,
Mm-hmm.
and then it gets a little, a check mark before it gets published, so that that people can have some level of trust that there's nothing malicious in
Yeah,
there, and
yeah,
it does do
definitely.
what it says it will do.
Yeah, in this phase, of course, I am the malicious code detector. And if I don't know it, I mostly ask it to Catalysm. But indeed,
Yeah.
that's
You
something we
know,
have to think
something
of.
like that we can kind of already do, because if you want to submit something to us to add to that website, you can just do a git commit with that JSON. Then we can review it. If everything's
Mm-hmm.
good, we merge it and it's live. That could be like a lightweight way of handling that.
Ah, yeah. Actually, what I'm doing, they can do as well, right?
Yeah, yeah, basically,
Yeah.
indeed. We can work out the details.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. You also raise a good point about you don't expect to make money from this. That's nice. I think some people do expect to make money from this. So in the future we can have like shareable modules, but like with the code private or something like that. And then you can sell it, maybe. It's like a very far future thing.
Yeah, indeed, it's future. Now, for us, main focus is more modules. The more modules we have,
Yes.
the more fun people will have managing their community, right?
Yeah. More modules.
So don't don't hold back.
We've
Don't.
had great success with writing modules with the AI tool, by the way, which really
Yes.
sped up the process for us.
Yeah. Do you wanna go in detail about that? Because that's how I actually, yeah, write
I
all
mean,
my modules.
it's pretty simple, really. Like the hard part is collecting the required data, but once you have that, it's just copy pasting it into whatever AI tool you like, and then asking questions about it, and then yeah, the thing just understands the Takaro quite well if you give it the right information.
Yeah, and that's also why I made the post, right? How to do it, because I have these files.
Hmm.
If you add them to your context window, it's going to generate you quite some good code. So the 8-ball module, this one actually, I know it can look very scary at first, but I did not write any code for this, right? I just typed in Claude, and now you will see my Claude history, so that's always exciting.
Same for me, by the way. I wrote the
Yeah.
daily rewards module fully with Claude.
Yeah, so the only thing I did is I know I added the files of Takaro, like all the modules that have been built, and I just asked him, can you build me a simple module for 8-ball? And he's going to give me the exact code with random responses, just like they asked me to do, and then it's going to give you yeah, some code, right?
Yeah.
And then he even explains how it works. That's the actually the only thing I had to do, and then copy paste this inside the module builder, and uh, and it worked. Of course, if your use case gets more complicated, it's more back and forth, and it gets complicated sometimes. But then again, yeah, we can help. Also, if people have ideas of modules, we can also help because again, I want to have the biggest and the biggest list of modules here, right? The more we have here, the more people will enjoy Takaro. Because I know Takaro looks scary, but on the other hand, it gives us so much flexibility um, that use cases can go very, very broad, which is a good thing, right? Okay, okay. Yeah, so my good friend Matt made me a movie, a very cool video of how he created some CPM commands as we saw in the module list, and he made a cool video out of it, and yeah, we can look at it. I don't know if you hear my audio. He even put a beat on it. So yeah, basically now we have all these CPM commands in 7 Days to Die thanks to Matt. Matt is sleeping right now, so I want to really do a shout out to him. Thank you because it's a really cool video, really cool commands as well. Doing an admin visit. That's yeah the code behind it. So yeah, that's pretty neat, pretty cool from him to send me this video. So that's cool also for the community because I know a lot of people are coming from CSM. Yeah, I need CPM functionality. Well, we can. And thanks to the community, those are also increasing quite significantly. Also, Trevor has made some amazing modules, the reset region and the blood moon announcement. And I think now we can have finally a place, a dedicated place to show, and then people hopefully want to use Takaro even more. Now the other things, we also did some cleanup of or launched a new concept, which is team members. So which we call them dashboard users, but those are actually your team, your account, or let's say your community managers, administrators, people that need access to Takaro to manage your community. And that's why you see here team member dashboard will be yes for users that are going to log in, and no are actually your players that are also logging into Takaro, and that's mostly to to access the shop, um, which they can of course, and later they will also have extra functionality to yeah to log into Takaro, for example, their player stats and the things that they did on your server or your community. But that's for later. This is important yet to know if you invite users and they're not assigned as a team member, they need to be. And of course, this is also helping us, as you've seen, things like users 5 of 10 later for us to identify how we're going to do the pricing of Takaro. As we also need to think of that, right? Some cool stuff in player management as well. So if now you have an online player which is always on this server, Limon, he's always online on 7 Days to Die. Now you can actually click on him and then you will have some actions. So the first action I actually put in red because it's not yet fully working, and that's the GIF item. But yeah, we will fix it quite soon. But all the other things are already working, which means that you can now kick a player from this server from your dashboard as well as ban the player. And in the end, you can also teleport the player, but then of course you need to know what are the coordinates, where do you want to teleport that player to, and then add or deduct currency as well. So I think this can really help to give you fast actions to manage players that are online. Then also something that has been asked quite a lot is to really have a shutdown button for each game server. So now if you go to game servers overview, we have now, when we look at the actions, a button to shut down the game server. Shutting down doesn't mean restarting, right? So if he's shut down by this, you need to find another way to turn him back on, right? Otherwise, he will be down. Okay, so that's functionality-wise. Now I wanna dive a bit deeper in versioning, especially also for you, Trevor. It's quite it has been a change, a much-needed change, but let me try to explain it. As for people that are not building modules or not installing a lot of modules, or let's say are not that techy, shouldn't be worried about this too much. They just need to understand the concept of different versions and the installation connected to that version. So first of all, why we did it? Stability, right? Prevents unexpected code changes. As we saw in the past, if you change code in the module builder and the module is installed in a game server, it's also going to change that code immediately, which is actually not not a good thing. It's a bad practice. So that's why we have now versioning in between. So if you change the code, you can actually make sure that the code remains the same if you have assigned or if you have tagged the version to it. Also, this helps with public modules because, as you can see, if you start to create public modules, people are starting to install these modules. Version 1, 2, 3 will be quite clear, but if you just have one version, it's also going again to change the code, which is of course a big issue. And how does it work? So I will show you actually in the front end, but latest version is actually the same as it used to be. It's just the latest version, which means if you change the latest version and you have a module that is installed as a latest version, it's going to change the code as well. So what we want to do is actually work with tags. And let me just show you because I think that will explain it a bit better. So if we go to our module builder, we have our 8-ball module, for example. Now we see that there are things extra like edit module. I can actually also explain this. So we have a builder one and a manual one. I think we do need to change the wording a bit, but this is just like it used to be. If you want to add user configuration to this module, you can do so using an UI. But what this other thing is going to do is it's actually going to show you the code. That's interesting because now you can actually, what I actually now do a lot, and that's why I thanked Emil 1,000 times. I used to create modules, you do the UI or use the UI to create a user configuration, but now I use actually ChatGPT a lot to just copy paste me the config schema, which saves me a lot of time. So that's also an option for people that are building things out, that it's that you can copy paste this here, and then all your config is created, right? Imagine you have an array of items, a duration field. All these things can be quite easily created using a JSON. That being said, has actually nothing to do with versioning, but I thought I just wanted to mention it. But you see tag module here. And you can do it here, but also in the module builder itself. But if we click on tag module, he's going to ask you, what do you want to do, right? So tagging a module is going to create a new version of that module with the module's current state. So what is the code that you just created? He's going to copy that and paste it into a new version. That's basically what he's going to do. We have a concept called version levels. And that means if it's a patch, it's actually, of course, arbitrary to the creator of a module, but this will show you, or this will help the users that are installing modules, what is the impact of the change that you did. Meaning a patch is just something that is going to change the number from 1.00 to 1.01. So it's something small, just a bug fix or whatever, but it doesn't have a big impact on how it's backwards compatible or not. If you go to minor, as you can see, it's now 1.1.0, so it's actually already a bigger change. And then we have, if it's really a big change and it's not backward compatible or whatever, it's going to change it to a second version. And this helps your users also to see, okay, if it's just 1.0.1, it's not bad. If I go to 1.0.2, but if it goes to 2.0, it can be a big change. I need to make sure it's still working. I need to check, right? So that's a bit the idea. If we go to the module builder itself, we see that this is new, right? It's latest. And I see one command. Latest means it's the latest version. If I change this code and I make a tag version of this, he's going to ask me the same thing, right? Do you want to make a patch, a minor or a major update or a tag? Sorry, and we can do so here. And what's going to happen is this is latest, and then we can go back to 2.0.0, and then this becomes uneditable, right? Reason why is because we don't want to edit versions that have been created. This code is fixed. This will remain fixed. If we want to change it, we need to go to latest, and then we need to copy paste it. What I'm saying, we need to tag the version if we change it. So that's a bit the whole concept. Tagging will help you make sure your code remains working on the server depending on the version that's installed. So what does this mean for like game community managers? So if we go back to a server, for example, the 7 Days to Die server where I'm online, we will see for the 8-ball module, for example, the ask which version is installed, right? So I can decide to change to a different module version for example 2.0, 0.01, and this of course then installs this module, right? But I do know that version 1 is the one that remains on this server. Once I upgrade, of course, it will be 2.00. And if we then check things like permissions, you're also going to see that. Because it can be, if you create one version with one permission, and you do a second version, that creates a second version of that permission as well. So if we go to roles, for example, and I can go to the player role, and if I go to my 8-ball to see if it's still there. So what I see now is actually two module permissions. The reason why is I know that this version is installed on Rust on my other game server, and this version has been installed on 7 Days to Die. So that's also why he's popping up these two permissions, because they are still active. They need to be able to configure what I want to do with that permission regarding that module. And that's actually the whole way these versioning and tagging system is going to work. Always important to know what version is installed on the server, what is the impact on the permission related to that role, and then finally for a module builder, making sure you actually do the best practice to not install latest modules on game servers and always create a first version, and that's always installed, right? Again, to make sure that the code is not changing when you change the latest version. Does that make sense? Because I know it's a long explanation and it's quite a complex topic, but yeah, I'm looking at Trevor if he has a bit of understanding of what I said.
Makes sense to me.
Yeah, at a kind of abstract level, yes, I would need to play with it to
Yeah,
kind of internalize it properly.
there are a lot of screens I'm showing, and I know it's kind of getting confusing. Um, but it once you understand it, it isn't that hard. But it just changes. It adds a layer of complexity as we need to make sure the right version is installed on the right game server. And if you change things, it's always going to be in the latest version. Once you're done, you're going to tag that version, and then you need to upgrade on the game server to have the latest version of that tagged version. Enough about tagging and versioning, because I myself I'm getting into into a rabbit hole. But that's also the reason why this took quite some time to build. We also had some hiccups with the release last weekend, but I think everything seems stable, and we resolved everything in the weekend itself, which is a good thing, because now we are really set for success, and we're going to release much faster, smaller incremental changes, and as well as the requests that the community is giving us. Um, we also have added extra information of the body in the logs to easily, also interesting for you, Trevor, to easily check what is the body of your JSON and how can you actually debug it easier instead of always having to add console logs everywhere. And that's mainly it for all the for this release. Which brings me to my last slide. If there are any questions, remarks, things we should do better, things we do good, just let me know as well.
For my part, it's this is also new that it's hard for me to give specific criticisms just yet, and certainly not on the fly in the middle of a presentation. But
No
yeah, I
worries.
mean, I'm really enjoying it so far. I love the flexibility of being able to do actual code as opposed to the basic handlebar scripting. So, thank you very much for the work that everyone's put in thus far, and I'll keep making little suggestions as I see a need to suggest it.
Thanks, Trevor.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay, cool.